Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Sean from All Things EV, and this is the continuation of a discussion that my friend Alex from E for Electric and I had a few days ago. And I want to encourage you to watch that first part of the video first on his channel, and then jump over to mine, and you'll get a sense for some of the things that we both are concerned about as well. We do have some differences of opinion on some. So I think it's a really interesting conversation from two different points of view, and I really hope you enjoy it. So let's go ahead and jump in.
So here's a big question. Ready? Is Tesla going to start losing sales if all of these worker bees that were marketing the brand and the cars to friends, family, YouTube audience, if all of that is gone, do you think the sales are going to go down?
I think that's a really, really good question that Tesla has probably asked themselves. How is this going to impact their sales and revenue? One thing I know, Alex, is that Tesla has a very rabid fan base. They're very loyal. They really believe in the mission. And I think that we'll probably continue to hear people talk about it as long as they continue to make a great product, number one. And number two, as long as they continue to take good care of their customers, which is a topic that we'll touch on here in just a moment. So I'm going to fire that question back to you, Alex. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that this will impact the sales of Tesla cars?
I don't think it will matter at all because I don't believe that program was ever working in favor of Tesla. I think that program was great for us, right? We were getting all these prizes, and I use that term very generously. Obviously, a lot of us didn't get a couple of them still after almost 2 years, but we were benefiting from it. I think Tesla, I don't think they made that many extra sales by somebody saying, hey, use my code so you'll get free supercharging. As a matter of fact, a lot of people, especially lately, 6 months of supercharging or whatever, $100 credit that we're offering, it's really not a make it or break it type of a deal like it used to be, where it was like lifetime of supercharging, right? Then I can see how it's kind of like must have. But still, man, let's say whatever, if we go back to 2015 or 2016, and you say, hey, do you want to buy this amazing electric car? I'm going to take it back. Do you want to buy this amazing car? And people go like, yeah, but the fuel, yeah, I have to pay for it. I know it's a third of a cost, but I want it to be free. I just don't see that happening. So I think this whole referral program wasn't really a referral program. It was more like of a party gift program, and I think nothing's going to change in their sales if it's taken away. I am surprised they've lasted for as long as they have and been so generous about the roadsters and all kinds of stuff. Like they didn't have to give 2 roadsters to Ben and to a few other people, right? Because essentially, if you got 200% off of a roadster, you're still getting a free roadster, right? They could have just said that, and they didn't. They said, no, Ben and everybody else will give you 2 of those. So yeah, I don't think it's going to matter.
I think it's interesting. I think the incentive for owners to use a referral code has not been improving. It's been getting worse. They took away free supercharging. They used to have, if you remember, Alex, they used to have $1,000 off, right? The purchase of the vehicle as well. That's gone away. And so now it's relegated to, 6 months of free supercharging. I think the supercharging does need to go away and be done with. That I'm confident about because, I don't spend as much time at superchargers as I used to when I first bought my car, but it seems like every time I go, those stalls are rocking and rolling. They're pretty busy. But we'll see. So
I gotta tell you, I never liked the referral program past its first stage, where you would get $1,000 credit and I would get $1,000 credit, and that was it, right? Once they introduced those prizes, and I saw how unequal they are, right? You get this toy, but it's $500 worth. But then for one offer, for one sale, and then for the second sale, you get $5,000 worth of wheels, right? And then what if I don't have a kid, or if I don't want my picture launched into space? I'd rather have more wheels, right? All of that was really, really weird. And my other problem was, and I've noticed this, I don't know if you have, I know for a fact there are a couple of times when Tesla employees literally threw out my code and used someone else's code. I don't know whose. And that, so I caught 2 of them, but how many I didn't catch? There's absolutely no system in place that Tesla has for their own employees, or really anybody else, from essentially stealing a sale, which when it comes to Roadster, Each sale is worth $5,000, right? And everything in between, I just did not like it. So I'm kind of happy that it's gone.
Yeah, it'll, the true test of the value of the referral program will show itself when they talk about their Q1 2019 sales numbers. Will it have an impact on sales? Will sales go down? Will people talk about Tesla less? Probably not, but that's going to be the true litmus test, I think, because the whole idea should have been to spur on Tesla sales and to get Tesla owners to talk about their cars, and maybe they're past that point. Maybe they've got enough brand awareness just in general out in public that they don't need owners to talk about their cars. And that's an interesting theory. So if that is the case, that their thought process is, Tesla's good, they don't need owners to talk about their brand anymore because they've got enough brand awareness, will they start spending dollars on advertising? What do you think?
So that's interesting, right? Because and up until I would say this year, Tesla was undisputed king of electric cars. If you have the money, and even if you don't have the money, it's not like there was a cheaper, better alternative. I mean, but this year is very different, man. First of all, there are quite a few competitors entering the market with pretty decent cars. Maybe not as amazing, but pretty decent. I mean, I personally am going to be switching to Audi e-tron, which I don't believe is a better car per se, just good enough, but I believe my ownership experience will improve. For some people who absolutely love performance, Porsche Taycan is going to be the thing that they probably going to go with, because the performance of that one is probably will be outdo the Model S, and the charging speed is going to be really ridiculous. Now, on top of that, we have Jaguar I-Pace now kind of really starting to pick up sales in the US and been already selling in Europe. And Mercedes EQC, which I just also did a ride along and I almost didn't want to like the car, and I really, really like the car. So all of the cars are going to be coming in and directly competing with Tesla, definitely Model S and Model X. But now there are lower priced cars, which I think people are not giving enough credit for. Because if you remember back in the day, a lot of people who were basically Tesla first time S and X owners, they were saying how it was the most expensive car they've ever bought. They used to drive like maybe a Prius or whatever, and they just, really put a lot of money into it. Well, those people are going to be going back to probably Nissan Leaf. That's a much, much more improved car right now. They're going to be going back to, well, not back to, but there's a Hyundai Kona EV and Niro EV, Kia Niro EV, going to their launch at the end of the month, which after incentives, the price is going to fall under $30,000. There's, of course, Chevy Bolt and a few other choices that are coming out. So Tesla will essentially be the iPhone, and all of these are going to be an Android. And we all know with that, Tesla will probably lose a really big part of their market share. But of course, we're only talking about 2% of the market. 98% of the market is still gas cars, so there's plenty to go around. But yeah, and I think Tesla is already losing to probably Rivian with their pickup truck, and they're probably losing to a few other companies with their Model Y that's nowhere near really production. So I think they will need to do something about once their queue of Model 3, reservation holders kind of clears out. It's obvious that most of them are now waiting for $35,000 version. It's obvious that 400,000 reservations are probably a little over half of that, because they allowed, two reservations per person or per family. So after that, so maybe this year and after that, they're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to, yeah, maybe
This
talk to us, the social media influencers, which they really don't much, unless you're Marquise or Dan from What's Inside, right? Or they're gonna have to start spending advertising dollars.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll be interesting. I think this is probably a good transition here. So as these competitors start to ramp up their production of these new EVs, maybe they'll be fantastic and amazing. Personally, I'm most excited about the Porsche Taycan, but maybe they won't be. Regardless, though, you've got these new automakers introducing EVs. People love Teslas, But one of the things that has sort of been bubbling up in the Tesla community with Tesla YouTubers as well as Tesla shareholders is this what I would call a crisis of customer service. So, um, I'm curious to know what all you have heard and what has gotten on your radar in terms of how Tesla has been treating their customers and people taking delivery of their Model 3s.
Well, so first of all, I've been raising this and many other red flags in the community for over a year now. When I did it, in 2017, I got jumped by so many Tesla fanboys and a lot of people unsubscribed from my channel because how dare you? How dare you, say anything really that's going on with Tesla that could be not in the best light? But I've noticed the customer service was starting to get really bad, to the point where it was a chore. Now we both, I believe, made a video the other day. I definitely did, about this. Kim from Like Tesla, she is probably one of the biggest Tesla fans out there. Doesn't sound like she has an agenda or whatever. She's just a genuine fan. And she was pretty pissed off once she figured out that I think one of her relatives ended up having a bad experience. Now, I got caught into this as well because at some point I was like, hey guys, I feel like Tesla's been providing pretty good service to me lately, until my girlfriend at that time went and dropped off the car and was treated like crap again. I realized that they realized that, I'm a YouTuber with a following, and I also have a pretty big Tesla ownership of Facebook groups, and I was treated, much better than an average person. And then once my average person girlfriend came into the dealership, to the service center, she was treated like crap. So when you piss off somebody like this, so your loyal friend, and speaking of referral program, geez, how many millions of dollars of business she referred to, you really need to stop and think if you're doing something wrong. Now, Elon seems like he understands that the service has been an issue, but when you say service, by the way, there are quite a few different things we're talking about here, right? One is if your car gets hit in an accident, you might be waiting for parts for weeks or even months, where even whatever gas car your insurance company is covering at whatever $35 a month will expire, right? You will literally be on your own. The service centers having 2, 3, 4 weeks worth of wait, right? Repair shops also, there's no third party repair shops. And even if you call them, like you can call them right now and probably end up being on hold for about an hour. All of that is a big mess. And I used to buy Mercedes-Benz cars. I never thought they were the best. I thought they were the best at service. So that service have really, really, really made me want to buy Mercedes, even though I thought that was not exactly the best car in the market. I think, and Kim in her video was very clear, and I agree with her. This is something that can bring a brand down, and there are, many examples in history. And when I say down, I don't mean into bankruptcy, but I mean into being very nominal company one time and one day, and not being the leader for sure. If you treat your customers, who essentially, we just talked about it, right? They count on all of us. All of ours are essentially their marketing team. We're the ones who are promoting their company. If you're going to treat all of them, or even half of them, or even 20% of them poorly, you're gonna have a major brand problem on your hands. So I don't know. I hope
Yeah.
Elon is paying attention.
Yeah, I do. I hope so as well. I think it is a serious matter. I did a video about this, and to my surprise, I think I had 100,000 views in 24 hours, and I just checked before we started recording this. It's got 310,000 views. I think this is a big problem, and I think they need to sort it out. Because it only gets worse. The more cars that you deliver, if you don't solve this cultural issue with Tesla of unresponsiveness from leadership down to the lowest paying employee, and you don't fix they have a problem with tracking customer questions and customer concerns, and it that, as well as, I mean, I can this is so funny because this is like a small thing, but it really is microcosm of something much bigger. So I took my car in today to get my tires rotated. I had a guy who sent me an email to confirm that appointment for today. This was 2 days ago, and he's like, hey, just wanted to confirm that the tire rotation is the only thing that you need, or is there any other things that you want us to take a look at? The execution of that was good, but the only problem is that he called me by the wrong name. He didn't call me Sean. He called me like Robert or something like that, something that was
Oh.
really far off. And you've got my customer record up on your computer in Salesforce or whatever they're using now, and probably sending an email within that CRM, and you didn't take the time to show that that small thing was important to you. So it's almost
I
as if
I
this
sorry to interrupt. I'm just gonna say I have about 20 examples of that, including them working on my. I used to have two, and then working on one car and putting all the records and notes onto the other one, and I can go on and on. But yeah, I think yeah, that's pretty bad.
it's almost as if you've got no strong leadership at the executive level helping shape the culture of the experience of owners when they deal with Tesla. And I think this is a problem, and I think Tesla really needs to address this issue. I actually suspect that this will come up on the Tesla's quarterly phone call, because there's some owners and some shareholders who are getting loud enough that a lot of people are like, yeah, I totally agree. This is my experience, or my experience is terrible. Now,
Wait,
I think it's
how do you
important
think it's gonna happen? I don't think it's gonna come up. Galileo's not gonna ask that question. Like, who do you think is gonna bring that up?
I mean, I hope it does come up. I hope the issue is getting loud enough that people are concerned about it. And I know a lot of the
Until
service people. I know a
I,
lot of the service people by name, and many of them are the best people on earth, and they believe in Tesla's mission. But there is this lack of maturity and this lack of direction that I think Tesla front facing employees that deal with customers need to they need to understand the value of white glove service.
I certainly hope that does happen, but I'm pretty sure it will not. I mean, Tesla has been, I don't know if you've ever dealt with them. I basically stopped even trying. They have not been very good in terms of media, even the friendly media, right? I still consider myself much friendly media than Wall Street Journal, for example. And addressing things is, Galileo, who basically is a, essentially a Tesla fanboy, gets to ask 10 questions sometimes over everybody else who actually have the legitimate questions. And the questions that were legitimate questions, he called them, I forget, knuckleheads or whatever, and hung up on them. And by the way, I would still like him to answer that question that he hung up on, which is how many people in your reservation list are actually real people in terms of how many have two reservations, how many are actually serious about buying something to that matter, like something that was very, very important to understand how many customers are actually waiting and how many of them is just kind of not really going to go through with it. I hope so, but they have not been a very transparent brand. And Elon picking tweets here and there and quickly addressing one customer's complaint or catering to one customer's need is not leadership. It's not going to solve this problem. But I hope you're right. I hope they do address this.
I hope so too. And you know, I like I said, I only think if this issue goes unresolved, it will only get bigger because more and more cars only magnifies this cultural, what I think is a cultural problem internally with Tesla. I'm a huge fan and a huge supporter. I don't know if I stated that in the very beginning. I run a Denver Tesla club here in Denver. I own shares of Tesla and intend on buying a significant amount more here in the very near future. So I say this as an owner of a Model S. I say this as someone who represents Tesla owners here locally in Colorado. And I say this as someone who has a vested interest in seeing Tesla's stock go up. This has got to be fixed ASAP.
I keep saying the same thing. Also, I don't. I mean, maybe some of your audience members, see me for the first time. I bought my very first Tesla in 2012. I was the biggest fan, and I'm on my third now. I still believe that Elon Musk is the leader of this community, and Tesla is by far the best car out there. And if it wasn't for Tesla, none of these other cars, as good as they might be in the future, would even be attempted, obviously. That's only why it hurts me. This is why I'm so passionate about when Elon or Tesla overall just do something so almost against their own culture or their own brand. It just makes me upset. So maybe sometimes people take it, oh, you're such a Tesla hater. I'm actually not. I'm actually such a big Tesla fan. When something goes wrong, I get upset, right? Just like, I'm a huge fan of my hockey team that I follow, Detroit Red Wings, and whenever they suck, I'm the first one to say, well, you suck, because I want them to get better, right? I mean, I'm probably going to be leaving the brand of Tesla, but I still would like to come back one day when they get better. So it's in my best interest as well. And I want them to continue pushing everybody. This Audi e-tron I'm going to be getting into, that would have not existed. If it wasn't for Tesla, I'm pretty sure that would be a diesel car, right? Volkswagen Group owns Audi. So I just want to, I don't know how sometimes to communicate that, I'm not a Tesla hater because I'm talking about all the issues. I'm actually a big Tesla fan and that's why I'm talking about all these issues. And I think it's a responsibility of our community is to be critical of our leaders, because, we have a bigger war to fight. We need to make sure that this 1 to 2% of, electric car sales get into 4, 5, 10, and one day 100%, right? That's where we're going to. And we won't get there if we would accept average or counterintuitive behavior from the very leaders and the brands that have been leading us all this time. So I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a responsible thing to do, to be critical, so they can maybe hear us like they've used to, and get better and get back on their horse.
Yeah, I think this is constructive criticism. It's one thing to complain, but it's another to voice a concern and then also suggest solutions. And that is how good companies get great. That is how individuals get great as well, by the way. You don't just buy people's silence, right? So this referral program, where I personally have sent a lot of new customers to Tesla, they don't buy my silence because they're giving me things in return. This topic of customer service or lack thereof is, I think, fundamental, and I want to see Tesla continue to succeed. And a big part of that is tactfully sharing where Tesla needs to improve, because if you say nothing, then they assume that everything is going fine, and there's a small chance that the executive team is not aware of some of the acute issues that owners are experiencing. So this is to help underscore, I think these conversations, I think videos like Kim did, and the video that Gally from Hyperchange did about this issue, all sort of bubble this thing to the top. And people who care about the best interest of Tesla are doing it because you and I and others care. So I think that's a really, really good way to wrap up this conversation. So thank you, Alex, for taking the time to join me on my channel, and can't wait to get this into both of our audience's hands so they can also chime in with their opinions as well.
Absolutely. And let's do this in person next time we see each other at so many coming up events that are going to be out there this year. I'm really excited.
That wraps up this video from Alex from E for Electric, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Sound off in the comments down below. Did you agree or disagree with any of the points made? And I also want to invite you to go check out and subscribe to Alex's channel, E for Electric. He's doing some really great coverage of the EV industry. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. And if you're a regular, hit the like button, and I'll see everyone on the next video.